guys, don't argue with women this week. All right, y'all, I'm gonna get straight into it. Are you emotionally intelligent? Listen, a lot of guys out here walk around and they act like they're emotionally intelligent. And I think it's because, for the most part, they do believe that they are emotionally intelligent until they lose their cool. Listen, guys, let me explain something to you about emotional intelligence, right? When you're emotionally intelligent, not only can you, regulate and control your emotions, but you can also recognize the emotional state of other people in order to resolve conflict. I talk to you guys all the time about arguing with women and how it is not in any way, shape, or form emotionally intelligent, but some people believe otherwise. I'm basing this off of my life, off of my experiences, and the things that I've seen throughout my lifetime. Just me being the man who I am. I've been at the point, especially when I was younger, when I was not emotionally intelligent at all. I had a temper. If you said something the wrong way, you looked at me the wrong way, that's it. It's on. Now, I'm at the point where I can control my temper a lot better. And I realized that at the end of the day, I was giving my power away to other people, right? Like, I was letting other people control my emotions. And when you give somebody else control over you, you're powerless. It's the same way in a relationship, guys. This is why I tell you all the time, do not argue with women. Because essentially what you're doing is, when you are arguing with a woman, you are giving her your power. Listen, you cannot control anybody, period. You can't control what they do. You can't control what they think. You can't control it. Some of you guys think you can, but you can't. Now, you may have a certain level of influence over somebody as to where they're going to move according to how you want to move, but that's based either off of the influence that you have over them, or the fear that they may have of you, or the fear of what they may lose if they don't do what you say do. But ultimately, at the end of the day, okay, your thought that you have control over somebody is simply because they choose to do whatever it is that you want them to do. It's always a choice. You have to understand that. I don't want to get too far off track, so let me bring it back in. Guys, emotional intelligence means that you can not only regulate your emotions, but theirs as well. This is why you don't argue with women. When you argue with women, you don't have the ability to regulate your emotions. And then, for the most part, you don't even have the ability to recognize um, that she was going off the deep end, in her feelings. And so you said something or you did something without recognizing what the next step was going to be for her. And then now she's in her feelings, and now you going back and forth with her. It's foolish. Never, ever, ever go back and forth and argue with a woman. Listen, you may have your difference of opinion. That's fine. She may do something that's against, she broke a boundary. That's fine. She may have violated, disrespect, or whatever. That's fine. You have a conversation with her about it. You stand on whatever it is that you say you're going to do. Don't. The biggest mistake you can do is tell a woman that you're going to do something and you don't do it. So understand, when you're correcting bad behavior, if you say you're going to do something, you better be able to do it. Again, which is why you don't argue, because for the most time, arguing is an emotional reaction. It's not a response. I talked about this before. There's a difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is like, I don't want to say animalistic, but it's instinctual. Somebody says something, you say something back. Somebody did something, you did something back without even thinking. It's just a reaction. Whereas a response is, you took some time to think about it, you processed it, you thought about every option, you know what I'm saying? You thought about, okay, if I do it this way, it could end up this way. If I do it that way, it could end up that way. That's responding. Typically in an argument, especially you arguing with your old lady or something like that, it's not responsive, it's reactive. And then you start to get in your feelings. First of all, the reason that you're arguing is probably because you trying to prove your case, she trying to prove her case. All y'all trying to do in a relationship is prove who was right and who was wrong in that situation. That's non-productive from the gate. So you shouldn't even be having those type of conversations. As a man, your job is to just solve the problem. Forget about right or wrong. Look at the facts, look at the issue, think about it logically, and solve the problem. It's not about who's right or who's wrong. See, if for you it's about who's right or who's wrong, it's because you're ego driven. That's why a lot of you guys end up in arguments with women. Oh, she said something that hurt your feelings. Oh, she said something and then, yeah, whatever. It's childish and it doesn't make sense. Listen, everybody's different. Everybody's handles situations different. Everybody's relationship status and situation is different. Now, look, if you want to have a long term relationship that's good and happy and fruitful and stuff like that, you want to keep arguments out of it. Now, if you're the type of person that's just toxic, and you just going rah, 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 and over talk and all of this, then fine, be that. Argue if you want. I still don't suggest it because I'm telling you right now, there are a lot of people that's sitting down doing long stints of time simply because they didn't think about what it is that they were doing. They just knee jerk reacted, and now they're suffering the consequences for years, if you understand what I'm saying. Some people cannot even come back from the bad decisions that they made based off of their emotions because they got into an argument with somebody over a disagreement that they had and it all went left. The ego was too big, the pride was too much, and so it had to go this way, and that's just the way it's going down. Guys, one of the biggest key components or signs that you are emotionally intelligent is that you can resolve conflict. When something comes your way, when a conflict comes your way, are you able to sit down, think about it, and the faster you can do it, the better off you are. Can you think about it and come up with a solution that works across the board for you and whoever else? Does it work? Did you solve the problem? At the end of the day, as a man, that's what you should be doing, solving problems, not trying to prove who's right or who's wrong. Does it really matter? For some people it does, for some people it doesn't. The more emotionally intelligent you are, you will understand that it really doesn't matter. The most important thing is the problem solved? Guys, you got to start solving problems. Put your ego out the way, throw your pride out the window if you're trying to be in a productive relationship. I'm talking to the guys that are trying to be in productive relationships. Now, if you just running through them and it don't matter, do what you got to do. But I will say this: how you do anything is how you do everything. I messed that up. Let me say that again. How you do anything is how you do everything. So if you're not emotionally intelligent when you're dealing with women, then you're probably not emotionally intelligent throughout life, period. So the same issues that you have in relationships, you're going to have across the board in life, period. Guys, get it together. Stop arguing with women. Put your pride out the door. Take your ego, put it to the side, and simply solve the problem. That's what women want. A man who can just solve the problem. Sometimes you got to remain silent, and you have to know when. I'm not saying remain silent when a woman done violated you, she disrespected you, she crossed your boundaries, she talking to you all out her mouth, the side of her neck, and all of that. I'm not talking about that. Okay, you got to let it be known. Listen, I don't tolerate that type of behavior. You have to let it be known. Listen, we're not going to have this conversation right now. We can address this later, 30 minutes, an hour, tomorrow, next week, whatever. I'm not saying when you remain silent that you give a woman the silent treatment to where you ain't speaking to her no more about anything, just not speaking about that particular thing because you see that your emotionally intelligence recognizes that she's not able to effectively and efficiently have this conversation right now because of how she's feeling, or you can recognize that you can't have this conversation right now because of how you feeling, so you need to table it until later. That's what being masculine is about. That's what being emotionally intelligent is about. All the arguing and craziness is just ridiculous. I'm not gonna be like, oh, it's toxic or whatever, but I mean, I don't know. That's what it is. Guys, you got to stop. If you want to have fruitful relationships, if you want to have valuable relationships, just stop arguing. I promise you, if you're arguing, if your relationship is trash right now and all y'all do is argue, stop. Just stop arguing. Just stop arguing. Do whatever you got to do to stop the arguing. If that means you got to get up and leave, get up and leave. If that means she got to leave, she got to leave. Just learn how to solve your problems and your issues and all of that without getting into an argument. Let the emotions go. If you table it for 30 minutes and you come back in 30 minutes, you start to get in your feelings again, recognize that you in your feelings. Recognize that she's getting back in her feelings and you're going to be right back where you were 30 minutes prior. Table it again. It's that simple. I don't really understand. Look, guys, emotional intelligence is key. You need it to get ahead in life, period. It's not just about relationships. It's life, period. I don't know. My thing look like I'm froze up, but I don't know. Y'all let me know. Did I freeze or not? If I didn't, I'll catch y'all on the next one. If I did, I guess I gotta do this over again. And y'all will probably never see me having this conversation. I don't know. But I catch y'all on the next one. Guys, don't argue with women this week.